I never said this thing was a race. Someone would use the term race. But no, it's not a race. It's an event. I'm just going to try and finish the event. I'm not racing anyone or anything. But I soon found out that it was a race, but it was a race against time to make all the different checkpoints.
Come on, Dave, you got this.
I felt like I'd actually disrespected the challenge and what the event was.
Keep moving.
Welcome to Shez Jackson. This is my crib.
The kitchen, dining room, bedroom is over here. There's the toilet here. There's the most important thing is the coffee machine, which is here.
Owen, legit, you like it?
Lovely.
Right, here we are. Lots of lovely messages, which is amazing. But Shawsy, good luck, mate. You'll smash it. Which I'm feeling the love, definitely. But the trouble is, like, I don't know if I'm gonna smash it because only I know what training I've done, and I don't know if that's enough because I've never done this thing before. So the unknown is scary.
Yeah. Oh.
I guess start from not being able to run after my brain injury that I had in 2013, which ended my rugby career. Just two of us on the same team in the warm-up trying to catch the same ball. It was just a nothingness collision, but I had a seizure and a small bleed in the brain. Our brain pretty much controls everything that we're doing to a degree, and it just meant any sort of task was hard. Even just something like being sensitive to light, and then to fatigue, and then there was the sort of like emotional side of it, of like depression and things like that, classic sort of symptoms of brain injuries. But it was years later where I discovered the importance of training the breath to help with my brain injury like recovery. Improving the way that we breathe to help with oxygen and blood supply to the brain, which gets affected typically during head injuries and brain injuries. Keep it nasal. The Ring of Fire, it's an ultra marathon, 135 miles, 216 kilometres, with 4,000 metres of elevation over the 3 days, running around the entire Anglesey coastal path. I mentioned about my father being from North Wales and that being an important part of the event being in Anglesey, and he died recently. But yeah, we saw him took his last breath, and seeing someone take that last breath and then they're gone. It's opened up so many questions in my mind, and we enter this life and take our first breath and we finish with that final one. And I think that the thing that's resonating through my My mind at the moment is what we're doing in between those breaths. I'm not professing to be an ultra runner, and my running hadn't been and my training hadn't been about trying to be good at ultra running. My training and my running had always been about connecting to myself and training my breath to improve the way that I breathe. Trying to do a multi-day event, for me, was really, you have to be able to run that first day to the point where you can go again the next day. So it wasn't like about pushing your limits, it was about how fresh can you keep yourself, rather than just hammering yourself and see if you can just hammer yourself further and hammer yourself further. That didn't feel like it was good for the body or healing for the body. So I focused very much on improving the efficiency of how I was breathing, with the nasal breathing connected to the diaphragm, and trying to finish a training session or a run and feel like you could just go and do it all over again.
I mean, I don't know how anyone else is doing it without a bandana on, because it's wicking sweat away. Bandanas give you 23% increase in endurance. That's science. Look at every top tennis player there's ever been. McEnroe, Agassi, Federer. They all wear bandanas. Everyone's missed a trick.
I think that what became apparent was the challenge within the Ring of Fire meant that a lot of that got blown out of the water, which there was a number of things that I was totally unprepared for.
Well done! Haven't done anything yet.
That was significantly harder than anticipated.
The 3 days of the Ring of Fire are made up of 16 different checkpoints, and the thing with any of the checkpoints, it doesn't matter how far you've gone or how well you've been previously doing, if you don't make a checkpoint, that's it, you are timed out. Part of my poor preparation was I didn't look at the timings of those different checkpoints until about 2 weeks before the event, which added a level of stress cognitively that took me a long time to get comfortable with. I never said this thing was a race. Someone would use the term race, but no, it's not a race. It's an event. I'm just going to try and finish the event. I'm not racing anyone or anything. But I soon found out that it was a race, but it was a race against time to make all the different checkpoints. The stress of nearly not making them I was totally not ready for, because all of my training I'd never put pressure on myself to like, right, you're gonna try and do this run in this amount of time.
I think it's going to be tight.
It was always do this run on managing your breath, your heart rate, and like the time will be what the time will be. Not trying to push myself to get better at running.
I fucking hate the checkpoint.
It can be really difficult to think positively when you're in a bad space mentally. Like, I was in a bad space mentally because I was in a bad place physically, but then I had all those emotions around not being good enough, not deserving to be there, you know, feeling like I disrespected the whole event and the whole thing and everyone there. I got to a point where I could take a step, but everything else, I was completely vulnerable and reliant on another person.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well done, David. Leave it.
I'm just going to stay with for a bit. Owen, can you keep them?
The events ended up sort of like forcing me into that mental and physical place. I didn't take myself there. I didn't even necessarily want to go there or think I was going there, or the purpose of the whole event wasn't to go there. But I found myself there and totally reliant on another person. You know, they were doing actual things like help me have a drink, have food, get to the next thing, navigate, be in front, encourage me through. That just without those things, I wouldn't have been able to like take my next step.
Oh, fantastic. Well done.
Guys.
1, 4, 3. Got watermelon.
Yeah, watermelon. Right, and honestly, how bad is the last 10?
Not bad at all.
Like, it was actually like quite a beautiful thing in that as an adult, when does that happen? Like, the world doesn't tell us like it's okay to be in that much need of someone else. It was almost like being a baby again, and you were just totally dependent on somebody being able to look after you because you are a baby. I was just very blessed that that person was my wife.
I signed up for a 3-day event.
Yes, buddy.
Yes.
It was only after we finished that I was like, I feel like you were there most of the time on day 2. Like, when did you join me? She was like, yeah, you were pretty broken and I just felt like you needed me.
If there's a coffee shop, get us a single espresso, would you?
Yep.
So like working out, like you've roughly done about 80 miles in 3 days, not mentally prepared to do more than just a little bit of support.
Hey, come on.
And the furthest you'd run before this was like 15 miles. yeah, where's that come from? Like, what's the override that allows someone to like go to that place and do that? And I think that override is called love.
You know your wife loves you when she brings you protector.
I don't know for other people, but for me, I've experienced that like the strength is in vulnerability. The connection and like deep connection with people is like needing them because you cannot do it on your own. And that's not only is that not a bad thing, like that's a good thing. I'm left like craving more connection. So it's 4:30 a.m. in the morning of day 3, and I wake up in the camper van, and I say wake up, I'd fallen asleep, I think, 2 or 3 times for 5 or 10 minutes through the night, and I just couldn't envisage getting out of bed, let alone anything else. And I turned to Catherine and I was like, I can't do it. And she said to me, if you don't try, you'll regret it. I did what any good husband does. You listen to your wife. So I got out of bed. I gingerly made my way into my sister's house, which was base camp. I didn't even have enough energy to close the toilet door. My sister came downstairs. I said, Susie, I can't do it. And she said the most beautiful thing. She said, just try and get in the car. That's the first step. I can try and do that. I can try and get in the car. Because that doesn't mean I'm going to start. Definitely doesn't mean I'm going to finish. But she gave me an actionable step. And just like Catherine, Mrs. Jacko, it was try. Try and get up. Try and get in the car. I think there's some massive lessons in that there for me. Something I completely hadn't considered. You can always break something down further. And it started there. Got to where the race briefing was going to be for that final day. Sort of literally hobbled in, and sort of my levels of embarrassment, and felt like I disrespected those people that were there and deserved to be there because they was in a state to actually like take on this final day. All that negative talk and thoughts came back, like, why are you so stupid, like, idiot, why did you think you could come to an event like this? What am I going to say to the 2 sponsors of the documentary? Like, there is no story.
Just wasn't even going to get out of bed.
And I was just thinking of the best case scenario. Like, I'm here now, so I'll walk out the door. And I was thinking, well, I'm never going to get to the first checkpoint in time. Just get timed out, and maybe we can just walk the rest of it. And at least we'll do the distance, we'll just, however long it takes, like, to just walk really slowly. At least we've finished and done the distance I'd come to do that. That was sort of like what I thought might be the best case. And as the rain was like hammering into his face with the 20-mile-an-hour winds from this storm apparently, the first kilometre might have taken us 20 minutes, or the first half 500 metres took 10 minutes or something, just like painfully slow. It almost couldn't get any worse. We're gonna get timed out anyway, like, why don't we just try and get it over with a bit quicker? It was almost like just going at this slow was just, yeah, more painful. So I just tried to take some faster steps, and like one thing turned into another, and we're running. Catherine was ahead, as she sort of always was, and I was like, Catherine, I'm running. I actually felt like I was running pretty good. Catherine was like, no, there's some people ahead. And I could see that they were walking, and said, let's catch those fucking walkers. I was in a bit of a survival mode. We overtook them, and it was like, we might actually make this checkpoint. And it was a wicked feeling. I think it was the best feeling. A couple of 100 metres before getting to this first checkpoint, and I was like, I am back, baby. It was like, I'm back from the dead. I didn't think I was gonna make this at all. Not a single ounce of me.
Got your bacon or egg?
Yeah, both.
Got any brown or red sauce on it?
And I was then in this like buoyant mood again. It was like the roller coaster was then gonna start. We've made this first checkpoint now. Well, if we've done this first one, like, why can't we do the second one? If we can do the second one, we can do the third one. Once you hit that third one, like the last one, like psychologically always feels better.
Good luck. Right then, off you go. See ya.
Like, there was something that my dad used to say to me when he was coaching us at rugby, like, not showing what you've got too early, because in rugby, like, when you're playing against a bit of a nasty team, someone will take you out physically. So it was like, save it to the end. And it was like, show them what you've got at the end. And for some reason that message was going around my head on day 3. When we came off the back of the side of the mountain, as you come round, you can see the finish line is maybe like 300 metres or something to go.
Let's go.
I was just like sprinting. After all that distance, and like how I was like limping every time I was walking, but like all of a sudden I'm like sprinting. That is just an experience of going like, you are far more capable than we could possibly ever think. I went into this event saying it wasn't a race, and it turned into a race against time. I went into it looking for like a deep connection with myself, because I was going to go through all of these struggles. And what I've come out with was those deep connections with everyone around. It wasn't about the event, it wasn't about me doing it. Like, I didn't do it. Like, we did it. We connected deeply.
28 hours and 21 minutes.
that's been the magic of the experience and what it's about. That's why I smile about when I reflect back and we talk about what we did, and we laugh about all the different struggles and things that we went through. Where can we choose to let our guard down, choose to be vulnerable? And when someone lets their guard down or shows me their vulnerability, that I can then reciprocate it the other way. As I reflect on what that event that's turned into experience has been about, I think that's what I'm left with. What between breaths means to me now, to breathe is there to allow us to live. And in allowing us to live, it's an opportunity to connect.